Hello gorgeous souls, and welcome to my channel and another video. And this is a really important message that I want to share, especially with single mums, because we work so bloody damn hard to make our family happy and successful and bring everything in that we need. And especially if you are doing it all on your own and the children's dad is not in their lives or is not in their lives enough, and if you don't have the right help with childcare and things like that, it is a struggle. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had tears, I've cried, I've screamed, the tantrums, the not having enough money. It is a struggle at times, and with this message I'm saying that it's time to let go of that guilt and don't think that splitting up the family was the wrong thing to do, and oh, the kids don't have the dad around and it's not fair and it's your fault, because we carry that for so long with us. It affects us all the time, and it's only been these last couple of months that I've really let go of the guilt that I carried, because for so young in my childhood all I ever wanted was a family and a mum and a dad to be around and always be there. And my dad wasn't there, he left when I was 4, he had to, and I didn't want to split my children up from their dad. And it took some inner courage and strength for me to do that, even though everything I was going through and the toxicity, the mental abuse and everything, I still tried my best to hold on, because I didn't want my kids to grow up without a dad, as I realised what it did to me. So I tried, and in the end we had to leave. And making that, I guess, that declaration to the universe, that's it, I've had enough, we've got to go, not for my sake but for the kids' sake. And so we did, and it wasn't easy, and it's never easy. And sometimes you can have the parent perfect co-parenting and it worked wonderful, and you people who do that, amazing. And for me, it's only kind of just started after 5 years. Last year was when we could finally talk together. It took us a long time before me and the father's dad could actually look at each other in the eyes and talk, whereas now we can. Does he see them often? No. Does that still cause issues with the kids? I think yes, they miss seeing him. My little boy is so insecure and his self-esteem's really, really low, and I know that comes from the things we went through together as a family, and not feeling enough love when he does get the love but he doesn't feel he gets enough, and just the relationship that they have with the dad. It's hard, I'm not going to lie, it can be difficult, but staying in a situation where the children are seeing you unhappy, the mother, like, you are their life, and if you're unhappy and they're watching that, they're going to see that and think, well, maybe that's how I treat a woman if you've got sons, or a girl, well, that's how I'm going to be treated, and that's what I should accept, and that's what I'm going to get. And it's not, and you don't want your children to grow up seeing you unhappy and hearing the arguments, because that's not good for them either. And just as much as them splitting up, you do overcome the issues that you have, and you do find ways of coping with what comes up for them. But it is a lot better than them seeing everything that's going on when you two are at each other's throats and just not getting on and trying to get on. There's only so long you can try for before everything screams at you, you've got to do this, you've got to leave. And don't see it as it's your fault and you're to blame and the kids are going to be unhappy forever and they're never going to be happy because they haven't got a mum and dad around in their life. That's not true. um my son was a hell of a lot happier once we left. He still had his issues and he still has his issues now, but he's not stuck in that where we was at that time and in that space. And my little girl's used to the amount of time she sees her dad. It's just become the norm for her. They still have a relationship with him. We can talk. It's got better than what it was. Some people co-parent and it's wonderful. And don't hold on to guilt if you have had to separate, because especially if there's been abuse of any kind of abuse is not good, and you shouldn't have to stay in a relationship just because you want to keep your children together, because that just takes you down a dark path. And I tried to do it for so long, and it really did shut me off to a lot of things, and it hurt my boy just as much as it did me at the time. And he's still healing from it, and he's gonna have his own things to overcome, but it was the best thing all around. And up until a few months, I did carry that guilt, like, I've made these things happen in their life because I've split them up. Could it have been different if they did have the dad? Well, maybe it would have been different, but then maybe it would have been a hell of a lot worse. So don't hold on to all the guilt of you did the wrong thing and you shouldn't have done that. And you've just got to follow your heart and just know that your kids will be perfectly fine, and they're perfectly fine with a mum that's happy and a mum that's feeling happy in the set in herself. She can then share that love to her children. And it is difficult. Being on your own can be difficult. The worry of money, I've had all these worries, and sometimes they still come up now and again. And the children's behaviour can change when it's just you doing it all. And if you don't have the right help when you're looking for work or trying to work, that can be difficult. It's, you kind of have to become the mum, the dad, the everything, and still try to enjoy your own life. And it's difficult, and it does take some getting used to and adjusting. And you find your way, the kids find their way, and you have to get them to help you a little more, especially the older they get. And you just kind of create that bond and that teamwork to being together. But you've got to let go of the guilt and just know that it's not, you've not done the wrong thing by splitting up the family. Because to me, that was such a big burden that I carried for such a long time, especially because I didn't have my dad around, and I did want him there sometimes. And I've seen my children cry when they've come home from the dads wanting to stay longer, and why can't we see him longer? And there's so many things that come up, but they're not sad kids, they're not unhappy, they're happy, they love their life. And it's just different ways of learning how to live and new challenges that you have to face. Because at the end of the day, nobody deserves to be unhappy and living in an unhappy marriage or relationship just to keep the children in a family, because sometimes that can be the worst thing to do, and it can cause many more problems down the line for the children when they've just been watching all their life, or this is what mum and dad did, so well, that's what I'm going to do. Because children learn through behaviour of what they're watching, and they learn the most through the parents. And if this is you and you are feeling that guilt as maybe your kids don't see the dad enough and you wish they could, just know that you do everything you can. You work, you provide, you create that loving home for your children. And if you're juggling jobs and school and pickups, you're doing an amazing job, and your children will appreciate everything you do, and they won't thank you enough when they get older, even though they might not seem it now. And we all know kids want, but they're going to know who's brought them up and who was there and who looked after them and who was there filling their needs. And we do an amazing job. And when you don't get that support, it does make it harder, but there is support out there if you go looking for it. But all I'm saying is, don't let the guilt just eat away at you, because you did do the right thing. You didn't deserve, you shouldn't have stayed, you didn't deserve to stay somewhere where there was abuse or someone cheated and you just weren't loved and adored and cherished. It wasn't right for you, and it wouldn't be right for your children to be around that and to be brought up like that, and they will appreciate that. And I know it can be hard to let go of the guilt, but it's time to let go of the guilt and just know that what you did was right, and everything will get easier. And if it's hard right now for you, just know that in time, and 6 months down the line, a couple of months down the line, another year down the line, it does get easier. But if you need that help, then seek it out and ask. There's always people to ask for help, and just don't sit and struggle on your own hoping things will change, because things don't change if you don't put those little baby steps and look for change, or get out the house and talk to somebody different or something like that. You need to make the little baby steps, or change doesn't happen, and it'll be harder for you to find something new or something to help you. But all I'm saying is let go of the guilt. You've got nothing to feel guilty for, nothing to feel bad for. At times you can feel it, especially if your kids are upset or they can say something nasty to you, and then it can be overwhelming, and it's just a part of being a parent, and we signed up for it, so we kind of got to roll with it, and we have to roll with what we get tested with and what comes our way. But don't feel bad for leaving and breaking something up when you are happier and the kids are happier in the long run. And things do get easier. I know when I first split, it was horrendous. I couldn't even talk, and everybody else had to do the text messages for me, and my little boy wouldn't go, and he didn't want to leave me, and he didn't want to stay. Whereas now they're kind of in the little routine of seeing him when they do, and sometimes it can be difficult and sometimes it's easy, and they love the time that they spend there, and it helps more that I've got over the hurt and I can talk now just on a normal level. As before, it was tough, and it was toxic, and it was messy, and I suppose that made it worse for the kids when they was going. So things do get better. I'm not going to say they get better in a year, could be 2. For me it was 4, some people it's longer, and if things are good as you do split up, then you're lucky, and just try to keep the kids' dads in the life. And I know sometimes you can't, and that's not your fault either. As much as the kids want to see their dads, they will know that it's not your fault, and they might want someone to blame, because that's just kids like to blame. It's got to be someone else's fault than their fault. So just know it's not your fault. Don't feel guilty, and just let that guilt go, and let that shame that you have about doing it go, because you will have done the right thing, and you know deep down you've done the right thing, and you probably see your kids strive and do loads more better than what they would have done, because no one's happy living in a unhappy house. And as much as you can try to pass it off as you're happy, or the dad's happy, or it's a happy environment, kids know. Kids can sense energy, especially energy of the mums. They know exactly what's going on. You don't have to say, they can feel you and feel the vibes of what's going on. So just don't have that doubt and don't have that guilt, and do what's right for you, especially if you're not in a good place, in a good relationship. Don't feel you've got to hold on for hope that it's all going to change and get better, because if you've been living like it for a certain amount of time, years, it won't change, it won't get better, and you can keep fighting and keep hoping, but sometimes you outgrow one another, and it happens a lot nowadays. Some people reach a different level quicker than others, and then that's where it causes the friction, and then everything's messy because you don't see the same anymore, and you've got different views, opinions and feelings, and then when you've got kids it's harder because you don't want to split up, but sometimes it is what needs to be done. And just know that you do not have to feel guilty if you have gone through that, and if you are on your own as a single parent, just know that you're doing an absolutely amazing job doing it all, running the home. Nobody knows how tough it is until you are on your own, and you're in your house thinking, okay, I gotta cook, clean, find work, get money coming in, do the mum job, do the dad job, do the homeworks, get everything going, and then find time for yourself. It is life-changing, and it is a struggle at times, and then the kids go through their little things, but you will overcome it, and you will face each challenge together as a family, and in some ways you become closer because you're very protective of one another and each other, and it does get easier. To how my life was 4 years ago to how it is now, it's totally different, and I don't regret once splitting up the family. I don't regret it at all. It was the right thing to do for me, for the kids, and just to find that inner peace in myself again. And I suppose to get my boy smiling, because he was very unhappy at the time, and it's nice to have us all back smiling and happy. And it's just, it's a wonderful thing. And if this is you and you are doubting yourself and feeling bad, or you don't know whether to leave, or should you go, should I stay, just have a really close think of what's best for you deep down and what's best for your kids, and just weigh it all up really. Question what's going on, how are the kids feeling from it, what are you feeling from it, what are you getting out of it? Because sometimes you can try and it just doesn't get you anywhere, and we can make all sorts of excuses to not leave and not go, when deep down all we're doing is trying to talk ourselves out of it, when your soul's telling you you've got to go, but your logical mind's like, no, it's not going to work, I can't do this because of that. I would have never thought I'd have my own house and be doing all the things that I had to have done back then when I was in such a mess, but you just do them, and it gets easier, and it is challenging, and it gets better. Life gets a lot better once you make those steps to better yourself and take care of yourself and take care of your family, so your kids are not seeing you unhappy. Then that's something that they will do as they grow up. They'll see, well, my mum did this, and then I'm not going to stand for that, and I'm not going to be treated like that. So just know that don't hold on to the doubt. Let the doubt go. Let any shame go that you're carrying, and you did the right thing. And I bet your children are really happy, and I'm sure you're doing a hell of a lot better than what you was. And if this is you thinking, should you leave, split up the family, I'm sure if you've been thinking it a hell of a long time. So do what's right for you, and do what's right for your children, but mainly for you and what's going to make you happy. Because if you've got a happy mum, and then you've got happy kids, and everything takes time to get used to and takes time for change. It doesn't just happen overnight. We have to put the little steps in progress, and it happens gradually. And in 6 months' time, it could be a total different new you and a total different, I suppose, family life, if you allow that change to happen. But sending you all so much love, and take care, and I will see you next time. And don't forget